Hey everybody, I'm here with Jared again, and I've been trying to explain to him the topic for this video. There's so much to talk about, really, it's kind of what the topic's about. There's just so much. So it says, the title is Maintaining Focus in a Digital Age, and what I just told Jared is my feelings of I've got so much stuff that I can't focus on anything, and I don't know if that's what you may be facing as well. But and it's in all aspects of entertainment in my life. Is I feel like I've got so many things that I could do that they're all stuck. I told Jared the whole thing about like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Like I've got all these things trying to get through the door, all his diseases trying to get through the door. Those are all my forms of entertainment, and I can't do any of them. Like I'm just like bogged down. And it's not only that, it's a difference of how we consume entertainment now is changed in this digital age. We have such quick and easily accessible everything from quick played video games to art we can just immediately we can actually create at the table with AI. Um, it's so easy to see an orc where before it's like you had to go and look at like the cover of a book, a novel or something. You had to like look through art. You had to look at a role playing game and look for it. And now it's everything's so commonplace and easy to see that it's lost a lot of something for me. It's like I can't focus on things. I can't I've tried to minimize a lot of my belongings to try to not have such a huge collection that kind of stares in my face as like a I don't know. I think we talked about it. Like it's, you feel defeated by it. Like you can't, why can't I do something with this that's sitting here? And when it comes to social media and how quick we have these fast dopamine hits in our life, I think role playing games have changed because of that, is they're trying to kind of tap into that. And I'm guilty of it myself because I'm trying to just, you know, kind of go with the flow as well. But I know with Jared, with his work, he's got to really focus on maps and the role playing games that he runs and plays too. But I just feel like I've got so many board games, video games, movies accessible at my fingertips, TV shows. I can't do any of them. And even the ones I have, yeah, even the physical ones I have, I just look at them and I just see effort, and it's like my drive, and I'm distracted by so many other things. I waste time on my iPad, on the computer, looking at social media, looking at stuff. I'm like, what did I just do for the last hour? And I feel I've become, and we talked about this, I feel like it's become where I've got to like justify my time now.
Mm,
And
mhm.
what have you faced the same thing I've faced? And Jared, and of course the viewer, is so much of this has kind of impacted the way that we enjoy everything in our lives. And it's like a magic has been zapped away from me. I'm so full. I'm not inspired to do anything with it. I'm not creatively, the juices are just stopping. So what have you faced with that, Jared? Are you the same as me, or what can you add to it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the digital age, the access to so much social media, the bombardment of just news at every second of every day. Doesn't matter what administration, there's some crazy shit going on. Uh that you're probably either going to agree with or not going to agree with.
Right.
I think that creates drama. I think people are just more engaged on a second by second basis. I mean, part of it's like the powers that be, advertising, social media stuff, whoever, have kind of tapped into the need and the worries and that people exhibit, like they need to know. Like when you look on your phone and you look at a news article, and if it's not within, like, I swear to God, like 12 hours now, you're like, it's old news.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you're
That
hunting the newest thing.
never happened even like 10 or 15 years ago. It just didn't happen. If it was like, did you were like, oh my God, you heard like three days ago something happened,
Yeah.
or a week
Yeah.
or whatever. Now it's measured in hours.
Yeah.
So that idea, you're not alone. I have struggled with it, but that's one of the reasons why I stepped away from social media for the most part. I mean, I do some advertising for my stuff, but I'm not engaged. I don't put a lot of my pieces up. I don't engage with a lot of other people. I just don't. I kind of maintain my privacy to a large extent. You know, people email me. That's different. That's literally
Sure.
social communication, and I do my best to answer people directly, but you have to maintain. I found that I had, you know, long bouts of depression that I discussed with my wife, and my work suffered and I suffered, and I didn't play video games. I was working like a dog, and it didn't matter because my work, when I work on something, it makes me happy. But then I got to the point where if I wasn't working, then I wasn't happy.
Right. Wasting your
And,
time, right?
yeah, and that's a huge problem. That's a huge
Right.
problem for Americans,
Yeah.
because Americans, we're literally raised to be like, if you're not working, you're useless.
Right.
That's a cultural thing. Not everybody suffers from that, but a lot of people
True.
do, especially when you work for yourself.
Yeah.
And when it comes to RPGs, because I'm kind of straying off a little bit, when in regards to RPGs are entertainment, and they're also a social entertainment. And the market, because the market has grown immensely, and that's one of the things that social media is good for, is that it is good for advertising, it is good for getting people's attention and exposing them to all this new stuff that, you know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we just didn't really have access to that stuff. So I do think that there is an overload, and RPGs, the market has changed into trying to get as many people into playing games and different games as possible. And you kind of lose some of that, because if you're just gaming to game or gaming with people you don't know, as opposed to 30 years ago when we were, you know, picked up D&D, or 40 years, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
20 years ago, and you're just gaming around a table with your friends, you know, during a sleepover, and you're like, this is the magic. That's the magic that people want.
Right.
And now I think you're feeling like the magic is like slipping,
Yeah.
right? But it
Definitely.
hasn't. It's just a
Right.
social magic. It's about, I mean, obviously we're getting older,
Right.
you know, we're a little more jaded, et cetera, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we're all creative people, and whether you're a DM or a player, and you just kind of, you know, you want to nurture that kind of magic that we used to have. I mean, it's inside everybody. Um, hasn't It's just been repressed because you only have so much energy and so much time.
Mm.
And when you start measuring your day in time as a success or a failure, you start to get massive problems. And social media feeds on your time. And so you only have so much energy, you only have so much time. So I guess I've talked to my friends about this, and I'm like, you know, you say you don't have time for this, you say you don't have time for that, but I see that you're playing whatever game on Steam
Yeah.
for hours. And I'm like, at the end of the day, if you play that game and yeah, you get that instinct, oh, I won, whatever, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's intangible. It doesn't make you really feel any better. You're just doing it because you're whatever. Like, I'm like, you have to choose how to spend your time. Spending time with randos on the internet, it's not going to be the same fulfillment as spending time with friends in person. Not everybody can do that, right? So, and
Right.
that's totally legitimate. But
Sure. Challenging.
making something, creating something that's your own. I think in an age of where any AI or just people all over the net are just creating things, and it makes you get that FOMO feeling. You're like, what am I doing? I'm just puttering around on my iPad,
Yep.
you know, and it's just you know, but you have to understand that it's like, use your time. There's a difference between using and wasting. If you're puttering on your iPad and you're just playing some game because whatever, you know, I literally have physically or mentally or literally out loud told myself, you gotta do something. So I'll
Yeah.
like physically switch off my iPad or my phone. I'll put my phone in another room and I'll turn it off. People get angry at me when they're, oh, where was your phone? I'm like, that's the thing. People keep their phones on them at all times.
Oh yeah.
I do it.
Oh sure.
You're conditioned. You're
I'm
now
I'm
conditioned.
guilty of all this. I'm guilty. That's the thing. It's like I'm not. It's it was a thing where I'd made a video before. It was about kind of being like No Country for Old grognards type thing, and where like I've just, I've changed, things have changed, but I'm guilty of all these things. It's not like I'm not like Sterling with this, and it's like, well, I don't have that problem. No, I'm dealing with this. I'm, it's almost, it's like I'm addicted to a lot of stuff that doesn't create anything. And it doesn't have to be like something actually physical, but it's not fulfilling to me, and I've got to like detoxify myself from these things, from exactly some of the stuff you talked about, whenever you start counting your time and what you did. But I don't know if it just has to do with getting older, part of it. There's a lot to it, obviously, but you're right about what you said about like a video games. I literally have so many video games, and it's the culture now that they've created, the companies have created, that have given us all these games. They give us free games all the time. I mean, just out the wazoo. And they wanted to hold you to play them for a long time. So they created games that really feed into that. But they all are like that. And they're all massive games. I mean, I have thousands of hours of video games. I could probably not buy a video game ever in my life and still probably wouldn't play all my backlog. And I'm certain there's a ton of people like that, but that's just one aspect of it. It also goes into, like you said, with role playing games, is they have had to change. I play games that I enjoy and I talk about them on my channel. I mean, like DCC, I think is a prime example of that. It's a fun game. It's a great game, but like it's always the way that it's structured. A lot of these games are structured in a way that they don't expect you to do a big long campaigns. We were talking about the video that we did before about role playing games and uh how there's no like deep campaign books and stuff because
Yeah.
it's not part of how we consume stuff anymore. You're wasting your time on that. I've literally
Well,
talked.
I don't know if that's true.
I,
I
I,
think there's a portion of this that we're being like, it's funny. It's like the chicken or the egg, right? People blame the companies or companies blame the consumer.
right.
But in reality, it's either both or none.
Mhm,
I am of the volition that it's better to have more choice
mhm.
than less choice. And it comes down to the personal responsibility of the person. There's no one forcing you to be on your phone or your
Right.
iPad or not spending time with your kids or not spending time with your friends or working too much or whatever,
Right.
not gaming or gaming too much. It to me, I think the overwhelming, it's overwhelming.
Right.
And this is something that not just the United States, but like literally to make it really grand, humanity as a whole, social media is new. We have
Right.
never had access to so much information
Mhm.
so quickly at the drop of a hat anytime. It's addicting.
Right.
It's
It is.
addicting, and everybody suffers from this.
Yeah.
Now, that's what's interesting is we're grappling with it. That we have never done this before. So people, cultures, societies are grappling with what you're talking about, is how, a return to form. People are reading less books, people are
Yeah.
doing this, people are doing that because they're addicted to their phones. But the is it, are they addicted to their phones, or have these things been fleshed out? It's just only time will tell. But if you think something's wrong and you
Yeah.
feel that something's wrong,
I
and you're not
do.
alone, there's a lot of people that feel the same way. There's something wrong. Human
You're right.
nature, human intuition is very good, and it's up to you to be like, how do I limit this? Well, one, identifying what the problem is. You know what the problem is. You're
Yeah.
spending too much time on social media. You're overwhelmed with just such a massive amount of shit to do. And now, and basically, like, if you're not working or not doing whatever, like, you feel guilty about it. The
Yes.
guilt of not being more creative, which is, or doing something that's basically FOMO, right? FOMO is a big thing, and it's true. And it basically comes down to identifying, like, are you spending time or are you wasting time?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I do it. Yesterday, like, I should be working on three shrapnel pieces for Battletech. Since I've been talking to Phil, whatever, and I was like, I should be working on this. They're due quickly, but you know what? I just had the urge. Like, I literally had like a physical, like, instinctual urge, and I just walked over to my painting table and I just picked up this miniature, and I was like, I need to create something like tangible because I do a
Mhm.
lot of my inks are digital.
Right.
So, and that's good. I love my iPad and I love Procreate, but I just needed to create something. And I didn't care what it was going to look like.
Right.
And so I just started painting, and that turned into like 4 hours of
Sure.
for painting, and I didn't look at my phone. And that's the thing, it's you need to find what inspires you. And the phone's always going to be there. The internet's always going to be there. These
Yeah.
games, all this shit is always going to be there. But you need to have a personal connection to it. And I agree with you, like slimming down, I slim down all the fucking time. I get rid
Yeah.
of fucking games. I don't give a shit. You know what? I sell them on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. And
Yep.
I'm like, if I really want it, I'll just buy it again.
Yeah.
If I really want it, I can find it. Yeah, I might pay a little bit more for it, whatever, but I don't give a shit because is it a burden?
Yeah. Does it
People
remind
are
you of
shackled.
like to me, I see it and I'm like, really need to play that game. And of course, miniatures that's a notorious meme right there. But no, I mean you're 100% correct. It's like I've I've just got to do it, like sit down and do it. But like you painting a miniature to me, I'm like success. Like you did it. You did something like I'll deal with something. I'll have some game or something I want to try to do. And of course, I'm reading a lot of games for the channel. I read a
Mhm.
lot of books and stuff like that, but I don't spend as much time as I used to actually reading. I know that's an issue too, just in general with people reading books.
Yeah.
But like, because it's just time. It's like you said, it's we're grappling with time. How do you focus? Now, one thing I have done is, and I've tried to do it, and again, it's a daily thing. This is not something I think you're just going to say, I figured it out. It's something you're going to have to continuously work with, just like any other addiction. You're just going to have to keep working at it. One thing I've done is I've tried to surround myself sometimes with like fantasy music. I have a TV here that just plays like a fantasy movie from like the 80s or something like that. I try to
Mm.
surround myself in all this stuff to try to get in that mind space. It's helped. It's been cool. It's cool. Sometimes it's kind of fleeting, but like I feel like if I get this stuff in front of me, kind of like what you said, like I with you wanted to paint, you felt this urge to paint, you got it in front of you, you started working on it, and you started doing it. So it's like just the first step is helpful in trying to get past all this. Like I just beat a video game the other day. I actually 100%ed it, got all the achievements and everything. And I was like, and I put down every other game. And I actually was able to focus on it. But now I'm looking at other games and I'm like, can I focus on these the way I did that one? What a
Well,
hurdle! What a hurdle this is
but
now.
the thing is, it's also you have to let go of the pressure of
Mhm.
pressuring yourself.
Yeah,
It's
self-imposed.
it's it's like letting go of guilt.
Mhm.
Guilt doesn't do a goddamn thing. I
Mhm.
mean, it really doesn't. It weighs you down, and it people value guilt because it can make you feel a certain way. But I feel like in this case, it is an absolute burden,
Yeah,
and it does nothing for you.
you're
It's
right.
just negative. And have focused with I focus with a lot of this stuff. My family's got a lot of mental stuff going on, and like I'm one of those people, like I don't take medication. I'm a very logical person.
Mhm.
I'm like a weirdo where I'm just like, no, like logically, like if
You're a
I can
Spock,
identify, yeah, well,
Vulcan.
I had for when Chelsea converted to Judaism, and she had we had our rabbi basically would talk to both of us and stuff, and we had problems, here and there, and it's because she's very emotional. I'm not. I can be, but I'm
Mhm.
very logical. I am like a Vulcan,
Yeah,
and I'm just like, and I apply that logic because for me it makes sense. Emotions also make sense, but I don't know. In this case, it's like, how do you identify the problem? And it's totally within your realm to deal with it, and taking emotions out of it. Emotions have a place, but in this case, like, your emotions are kind of betraying you.
yeah,
Like, they're telling you that something's wrong. In that case, they're right, but they're also weighing you down and stopping you from being able to focus on this. Now, what does this have to do with RPGs? Well, RPGs are a social game, and they're a social in some cases, they're a social network. And I guess when you're talking about like putting a movie on or putting this on, like putting a mood. You know what I've done recently is I've done the same thing. Is Finished Quake 2. I
Cool.
finished Wheel of Time, the video game,
Yeah.
from 1999.
Yep.
Quake 2 is from, I don't know, fucking 97, whatever. I went back, you just took time, and it took me 8 or 9 hours each. And they were great. They were fantastic. I'm playing through Thief 1. You have to make the time to make yourself feel better. And what I've done is I've just delved into nostalgia. What do I love? I love the
Sure.
90s. Personally, the 90s, when I grew up, that was my great time. I love the
Sure.
music, so now when I work out, or I'm painting something, I put on Alice in Chains. I'll put on Bush. I'll put on these things, and people don't realize it's like they're not distracting. Like I'm not watching something. I'll watch old Top Gear. Love Top Gear. So I'm laughing, I'm listening, but like I guess I don't focus on a lot of new stuff. I
No, I don't
I
either.
it and that's okay. Like there's tons of new stuff, but new stuff's always going to be there because eventually it's going to be old stuff.
Right.
And to me, I think a lot of the old stuff has value. I'm kind of an old fashioned kind of guy, and there is some that was magical to me. The 90s were magical to me. I think of my friends. I think of D&D gaming with my friends at a sleepover around a wooden table and
Yeah.
laughing. And you have to tap into that because that's what you want to reclaim.
Right.
And narrowing yourself down to specific games or being inspired by specific games, then you're like, if you did a review of whatever game that on the channel and be like, this is really interesting to me, like Torchbearer or whatever game, call up your buds, message your buds, be like, hey, I want to put together like a 3 or 4 person game,
Yeah.
and we're gonna try it out. If it sucks, it sucks. If it doesn't, we'll have then great. But either way, we'll have a laugh. And it's harder to do when you're older.
Yep.
It's one of the
And
reasons
family.
I don't have any kids.
Yeah, it's tough.
So and a lot of my friends here don't have kids. So I'm very fortunate. I'm 40 and almost all my friends don't have kids. So we can game a
Yeah,
lot.
it's rare.
That's very rare. Yeah, that's extremely rare. So I understand where it's harder for people to kind of get that social network going, but
Yeah.
you just got to make time. You
Yeah.
just got to it's important to you, obviously, and hopefully it's important to your friends. And you just got to make it happen, even if it's only an hour or 2 hours or three
Yeah.
hours. Like
Start slow.
it's about social networking, which is hilarious to me. Social media does not make you feel more social most of the time.
Right.
It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel scared. Sometimes it's inspiring. There are different facets of it. But the only way you're going to reclaim that is we're physical social beings. You have to literally be, a lot of times, it's not all the time. I run a game with my friends in New Jersey, my Jersey boys, and that's great. It makes me feel amazing. It's my old friends. That's guys I grew up with. But we got to put that together.
Yeah.
Wrangling 5 dudes on a Friday night
Oh, it's tough.
with a time difference, but we make it happen. It's
That's good.
important to
Yeah.
everybody to make it happen. The other counter is you got to meet people in person.
Yeah.
Like when I go back to South Carolina, we make sure that we meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
it's an
sure.
important friendship to me. So like you just got to put the time in, and that's not wasting time. That's spending time.
You're
And
right.
be cognizant. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And I had a one of my best buds pass away a couple years ago, and it was a moment, and I think I told you this. I don't know, I told a couple people this. It was a moment kind of it's a shame that someone has to pass away in your life for you to kind of like reevaluate how you spend your time.
Yeah.
And it's a thing where I started to say, "Well, I could have spent more time with him." And all the times that we both wanted to hang out, or we thought about hanging out, but then we kind of were like, nah, you know what, we'll do it next time. I felt bad for I feel bad about the situation because like we could have made a memory there. You know what I mean? We could have had something, and it's just kind of irritating to me, like how I dealt. But I still find myself doing that today, even though I know I said, you know what, I'm not going to have that happen. And I think it really is like what we've been talking about here. I think it really is an addiction. I think it's a dopamine addiction that has encompassed all facets of our life. It's not just social media; it's streaming platforms. I can't. I mean, they said. I think I saw one time some months ago. It was like, or maybe a couple years ago. It was like someone spends like 17 minutes looking for something to watch on Netflix before they actually watch something. Like that's like an average for people if they actually look through it.
Probably more now,
Yeah,
to be
there's so much content, but
honest.
when he, like I said, when he passed away, I said, you know what, I'm going to spend more time doing these things that, not just with friends, but with the stuff that we enjoyed. Um, And I feel, I really do feel like I'm addicted to not acting, not doing stuff.
Well, because
Um,
everything what you just told me is you're looking at everything as a chore.
right.
I do the same thing. My wife gets so frustrated at me because I'm very like, I, all these things are obstacles in
Mhm.
the way of me doing what I want to do. So
Right.
I'll like do the dishes super quickly, or and then I'll run over and I'll do this. And she's like, "You're cleaning everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, because it's something I can control and it's an obstacle." And then I get frustrated at the obstacle because I have to do it.
Right.
And it literally is a mindset. And I know it's wrong. It but that's how I function. But you have to understand it's like, everybody's different. And when it comes to this, you have to look at like when I'm looking at your bookshelf, this massive bookshelf of
Yeah.
all your stuff,
Yeah.
and it's
All my White
fantastic.
Wolf stuff.
All your White Wolf stuff, and sometimes like I do the same thing with my Battletech shit. I'll just pick a book and I'll just read. I mean, I read before bed. That's kind of a rule
Yeah.
for me. So I read before bed. My wife has started, I've gotten on her for years, years and years, and now she's finally reading novels and she's reading stuff. She loves it,
That's great.
and it,
Yeah.
it helps relax my brain and it keeps you. It's like the mental touching grass.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I read a lot of old. I read stuff from Poldark and shit that was written in the 30s and 40s and dramas, and I
Mhm.
read old histories. I read all kinds of weird shit and new stuff. You just gotta. It's just everybody's taste is eclectic, but I think I think it comes down to tangibility. We're social people. We're social animals, and we're physical. We have all these senses. Social media does nothing for your fingers, for your hearing, any of that stuff. You can see things, you can hear things, but you can't taste it. You can't do this. You can't smell it. You can't touch it. That's a huge problem. It's almost a handicap. So people just spend all this time and they're just looking for
Right.
like those dopamine hits. They're looking for like those quick laughs. They're looking for these things. And I'm like, I've just realized that I'm like, this entire structure of all of social media and the news, everything is there to keep you watching
Yeah.
and streaming
Websites.
services. That's why I don't really watch new shows anymore. I
Yeah. It's
don't I don't
tough.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I just,
It's too
my
much.
parents, yeah, it's too much. And I'm like, you know what I could be doing? I look at my pile of stuff and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna do that. That's the difference.
Yeah. Like with role playing
Is
games, it's like the same thing. I'm like, I've got to
yeah,
do something with this
but it's
or
not
get
just it's not just about I've got to. It's I'm going to.
right.
I'm doing it. And that's why I pick it up and then I talk to my friends like, "Hey, you want to do this? Hey, let's play this game. Let's try this. Let's try that." That's the difference is saying you're going to do something
Right.
and actually fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, obviously there are lots of distractions and stuff, but you can cut off I'm going to say 50% of those distractions by just putting down a phone, an iPad, or turning off the TV.
Right.
And sometimes I'll do that. I'll put on music, I'll close my door, and it's just me and my workshop.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a blank canvas. I could do whatever the fuck I want in here.
Right.
And a lot of people need to find their workshop.
Yeah.
It
I've got
doesn't
to hear
have
it.
to
I've
be
got
a
to hear in the
physical
room.
workshop. It doesn't
Yeah.
have, I mean, hopefully it is. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But some people, sometimes they put their headphones on and they got their little paint station
Yeah. They zone
and that
out.
and their little workstation and they just do things and
Yep.
that's their thing. They could have roommates, they can have dogs, they can have all this shit going on around them, but you got to find your workstation and
Yeah.
keep the
Surround
outside
yourself.
influences the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really challenging, man. It's really difficult. And it's something that I'm certain, like if any viewers have faced some of this as well or know kind of what we're talking about, kind of been this has been challenging for them as well. Um, it's kind of like mental health for the gamer, for like the role player, and not just role playing, but just in general. It's like a thing that it's frustrating to me. I get frustrated myself. It's kind of, you brought up like these White Wolf books and stuff, and like I've looked through a lot of them. But I find that I'm just a dabbler. And now, granted, the channel makes me do that as well too. Like I dabble because I'm reading all this different stuff. But like I want to like absorb stuff. I want to like know it all. And I do have some stuff that I'm quite knowledgeable about. But it feels like every aspect of me now. TV. How many TV shows have you started and stopped after like an episode or so? Countless. You know, movie. I've had movies after movie where I'm just like, you know, it's just like none of these things give me what I want anymore. And there was a time where I was talking about how I was kind of chasing the past, where I was like, I'm not going to find a sword and sorcery movie nowadays the way that because I'll just kind of always relate it to the old sword and sorcery movies of the 80s, and so I don't even watch those now. I know I'm chasing something I'm not going to find. So that's actually kind of been a good thing. Is that, but at the same time, it's like I want to try to recapture that but I feel defeated that it's not going to happen, you know, and so I just don't even do it. That's my
But
problem.
that's why the struggle, it's the struggle with negativity.
Yeah, it is. Not a lot of negativity.
I think the world as a whole, people feel more cynical.
Mhm.
They poo poo, you know, they feel like everything, oh well, you know, I mean, this translates to politics, this translates to lots of things that affect people's lives. And what you have to understand is like, you know, the sun's just going to come up again
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah,
And that's something like that I've struggled with sometimes, but I've also always kind of I've used games to help me. Like Warhammer, actually fantasy used to help me. Like when I went through several couple breakups, big breakups, you know, back in the day and stuff. And my kind of my mantra was stand fast. You know, and that was like, you know, I always love the Empire and stuff. And
yep.
that whole setting was like everything that they can throw at, you know, mankind, but mankind has, you know,
Endured.
has endured. They have steel, guns, and discipline, right? And that
Yeah,
was my thing. Was like, you know, when I broke up with one of my really heavy, like as an emotionally heavy exes. This is fucking 15 years ago, way before Chelsea.
mm,
But like, you know, I was, you know, we are really into each other or whatever, and it was really hard. But my thing was just like, you just got to stand fast, man. Like things will be better, and they
yeah,
will.
yeah,
It and that translates to your life, translates to politics, it translates like things will be all right.
yeah,
Eventually they'll figure themselves out. And you got to focus on yourself and your own stuff too. Like everybody's so busy trying to make you worry about their shit.
yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't, it's not that I don't care, but I don't care.
Right. I
It
need to not
doesn't work.
care. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't be involved in all of it.
Shut
I want
yourself
to.
down, you know,
Yeah,
kind of, you got to consolidate mentally, consolidate, be like, you know what I did? I deleted Instagram and Facebook off my phone.
yeah,
Fantastic. Because I just don't, you know, I have Facebook. I'll do stuff on Marketplace or whatever. But like you just get it, just the algorithm is just there to
yeah,
get you addicted to it.
or
You just go
websites.
like this.
I find myself at websites and I'm just refreshing them and I'll check it in like in 7 minutes. Now there's even I've looked into it. There's even apps now that they have that you pay for and they will block you from going to certain apps and to certain websites and stuff. And it's a thing that it's if you go a certain long amount of time, it'll block you. And if you go a certain amount of times, it'll allow you to do it, but then it's going to block you for a longer time the next time. You know, it's like it's a weeding you off. And I feel like just that first step of saying that, hey, it's almost like a thing that we've seen about addictions. You've got to at least first admit that you've got this addiction, that
Yeah.
you're not focused. You know, role playing games are an important part of my life. I love them a bunch, but even like it's like a family. You've got someone who's got an addiction or something, and they love their family, but they love their drugs more. And it's kind of like it's like that almost with me with like some stuff that I have, and I'm like, I love these so much, but I'm not doing them. I'm not doing them the justice they deserve. So I feel like I need to just pare down and really trying to focus, get in that mindset. And it's a day by day thing. And I think even though we don't have too much time here left, you know, I think this has been a cool video. I'm hoping someone kind of relates to it and can kind of say their side in a comment. Maybe they've got a
Yeah.
suggestion, like you've said. I love it whenever all of a sudden I put on a movie and I've got music playing and I'm trying to get in that mind space, but I always feel the pull. You know, it is an addiction. Let me go check my iPad. Let me just see what's going on.
Well, it's
And
just it's my like when you're talking about that app, uh, to me, I'm like those are band-aids.
yeah, they
It
are.
literally it is a mind switch. It is a
Yeah,
mind. You have to change your behavior, and acknowledging that, you know, I got a problem. This is a
yeah.
problem. This is
That
a
is
problem for me.
that
And
that's the start.
well, then baby steps, man, and
Yep.
baby steps. Like it's all people are like, oh, you're gonna do a cold turkey. Some people can do that.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you work, but like generally, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you're like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. Pick it up,
Yeah, you got to pick it
pick it
up. You got to
up,
make that
and
first
just
step.
sit in a corner sometimes literally like sit in a corner and you're like, I shouldn't be doing this. I feel ridiculous. But you're like, sometimes you got to feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Kind of.
we're adults, but sometimes you need to have that childlike mentality and just be like, man, this is like, you open it up and you're like, this is just cool.
Yeah.
Like, I like this. You know what I mean? And I just
I'm gonna
want
get
this. I want
involved in
this.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to
Just gotta
involve
make the
yourself in
time,
it.
man.
You do, and I think this has been a cool video. I appreciate, of course, your insight to it, especially with the role playing game aspect.
I guess we didn't
But
cover how like the RPG industry has changed.
yeah, that's probably going to be for another. That's we'll do that with the RPG. We're going to do a video about RPG kind of saturation, and I think that's where it kind of will fit.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, it's always about kind of the mental health of it, and knowing that you've got an issue, and just take it one step at a time. Break open a book every once in a while, and maybe you'll get addicted to it. But the drive is always going to be there. So, no, I think this is cool. Anything else, last minute you got to say? We're good, right?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm good.
Well,
Good.
hope this has been enjoyable, everybody. Like I said, if you've got anything you can relate to it, comment down below, and stay tuned for our next video. Thanks.
See ya.